Some plants can't run, can't hide, and can't fight back, so instead, they became some of the deadliest things alive. They burn, they explode, they poison, and a few have killed people who only ever touched them by accident. These are the most dangerous plants on Earth, and the quiet, brutal ways each one has learned to hurt you. Some trees drop fruit. This one fires it. The Sandbox tree is a living grenade, and it detonates without any warning at all. The Sandbox tree grows across the tropical Americas, tall and innocent, its trunk covered in dark spike-like cones. Its seed pods look like little pumpkins, but as they dry in the sun, pressure builds silently inside the hardening shell. Then they explode. The pod bursts apart with a loud crack, hurling seeds outward at up to 240 kilometers an hour. That is faster than a Formula One car. The seeds can fly over 40 meters, easily hard enough to injure a person or animal nearby. And the tree isn't done. Its sap is toxic enough to have been used on hunting arrows and to stun fish in the water, so it fires shrapnel and it carries poison. People have earned nasty injuries just from standing under it at the wrong moment. It's nicknamed the dynamite tree, and for once the nickname undersells it. This is a tree that goes off like an explosion. There's a tree so dangerous that standing under it in the rain can burn your skin. Even its shade is a trap. The Manchineel grows on Caribbean and Florida beaches, and the Spanish called it the little apple of death. Every part of it is poisonous. The sap contains toxins so harsh that a single drop can raise painful blisters on bare skin. Stand under it during rain, and the water carries that sap onto you, leaving burns as if you'd been splashed with acid. Burn the wood, and the smoke can blind you. Many Manchineel trees now carry warning signs or red-painted rings to keep people away. And then there's the fruit. It smells sweet and looks like a small green apple, tempting anyone who doesn't know better. One bite brings burning, blistering, and swelling in the throat. People who've tasted it describe hours of genuine agony afterwards. It holds a record as one of the most dangerous trees on the planet, a tree where even the rain dripping off it is a threat. This next plant executed one of history's greatest philosophers, and it hides in plain sight, disguised as something harmless. Poison hemlock killed the philosopher Socrates. Sentenced to death in ancient Athens, he was made to drink a cup brewed from it. The plant looks almost gentle. Delicate white flowers and feathery leaves, easily mistaken for wild carrot, parsley, or cow parsley. But it's packed with toxins that attack the nervous system, slowly shutting down the body's muscles while the mind stays clear. Records of Socrates' death describe a creeping paralysis, climbing from his feet upward until it finally reached his heart. People still poison themselves by accident, mistaking its leaves or seeds for edible herbs while out foraging in the countryside. It grows on roadsides and in ditches across much of the world, quiet and common, giving no hint of what it can do. A beautiful plant that killed a legend and still fools foragers today, proof that deadly and harmless can look almost identical. You have almost certainly walked past this next one. It lines roads and gardens worldwide, and every part of it can kill. Oleander is a popular ornamental shrub, loved for its bright, showy pink and white flowers that bloom through the whole summer. But the entire plant is toxic. The leaves, the flowers, the stems, and the sap all contain compounds that attack the heart. Swallowing even a small amount can cause a dangerously irregular heartbeat, and in serious cases it can stop the heart entirely. The danger doesn't stop at eating it. Burning oleander releases toxic smoke, and even honey made from its flowers can be poisoned. Children are especially at risk because the plant is everywhere and a few leaves are enough to seriously harm a small body. Yet it's planted deliberately along motorways and in parks, prized because it's tough, drought-proof, and survives almost anywhere. One of the most poisonous common garden plants in the world, sitting quietly in plain sight in millions of front yards. This next plant doesn't poison you from the inside. It rewires your skin so the sun itself does the damage instead. Giant hogweed looks spectacular, a towering plant that can reach 5 meters tall, crowned with huge umbrella-like clusters of white flowers. But its watery sap contains chemicals that strip your skin of its natural defense against ultraviolet light from the sun. Get the sap on you, then step into sunlight, and the skin erupts into severe burns and enormous, painful blisters. The scars can last for years, and if the sap reaches your eyes, it can cause temporary or even permanent blindness. Worst of all, you often feel nothing at first. The reaction only begins hours later, once you're already out in the light. It has spread aggressively across Europe and North America, invading riverbanks and parks where unsuspecting people brush against it. A plant that turns sunshine into a weapon and hands you the injury hours after you've forgotten you ever touched it. Australia is home to a tree whose sting is so severe that it has reportedly driven both animals and people to suicide. The Gympie-gympie looks soft and unremarkable, a broad-leafed plant covered in what appears to be a gentle coating of fine fuzz. That fuzz is a forest of tiny silica needles, and each one works like a hypodermic syringe filled with a potent toxin. Brush against it and thousands of needles inject that toxin into your skin, causing pain that victims describe as almost unbearable. The needles are so fine they break off and stay embedded, so the burning agony can return in waves for weeks or months. There are stories of people bitten badly enough to be hospitalized, and even accounts of horses driven mad by the pain. Because the toxin is so stable, herbarium specimens have stung scientists decades after the leaves were picked and dried. Handlers who work near it wear thick gloves and masks, treating a simple-looking plant with the caution of dangerous chemistry. This next plant doesn't fight its enemies itself. It keeps an entire army of soldiers on permanent guard. The whistling thorn acacia grows across the African savanna, and it has struck an extraordinary deal with a species of ant. The tree grows large, hollow, bulb-like thorns, and inside them entire colonies of aggressive ants make their home. In return for shelter and sweet nectar, the ants defend the tree, swarming out to attack anything that dares to take a bite. Brush the branches and the ants pour out, biting and stinging any animal or person unlucky enough to disturb their home. The name comes from the wind whistling through old abandoned thorns, holes left behind once the ants have moved out. Even elephants and giraffes, which happily eat other trees, will often avoid this one rather than face the furious defenders. It's a plant that solved its own survival by hiring bodyguards, turning a swarm of stinging insects into living armor. Remember the plant that killed Socrates? It has a cousin in North America that is faster, deadlier, and far more aggressive. Water hemlock is often called the most poisonous plant on the entire continent, and it kills with terrifying speed. It grows in wet ground, along streams and marshes, with clusters of small white flowers that look almost pretty and harmless. Its roots hold a toxin called cicotoxin, which attacks the brain and triggers violent, uncontrollable seizures within minutes. People have died after mistaking the root for wild parsnip or other edible plants, sometimes within an hour of swallowing it. Even a small piece of the root is enough to kill a full-grown adult, and no simple antidote exists to reverse it. The danger is how convincingly it hides, wearing the same delicate white flowers as dozens of completely harmless relatives. A plant deadlier than the one that executed a philosopher, growing quietly by the water, disguised as something safe to eat. There's a tree whose poison is so hard to detect that it has been used to get away with murder. The suicide tree, known as Cerbera odolum, grows across India and Southeast Asia, with pretty white flowers and small green fruit. Inside that fruit is a seed containing a toxin that disrupts the heart, stopping it in a way that mimics a natural heart attack. What makes it so sinister is that the poison is extremely difficult to trace once it is broken down inside the body. Investigators studying one region uncovered a startling number of deaths that were quietly linked back to this single plant. Because it can be hidden in strongly spiced food, its bitter taste vanishes, and a fatal dose can be given without suspicion. For years, it slipped past doctors and courts, its victims recorded as ordinary heart failure rather than deliberate poisoning. A beautiful coastal tree that became known as the perfect murder weapon, hiding its crimes inside the appearance of a normal death. Our last plant produces one of the most lethal natural toxins known, and you can find it growing in ordinary gardens. The castor bean plant is tall and dramatic, with huge star-shaped leaves and spiky seed pods, grown as decoration worldwide. Its seeds are the source of castor oil, but those same seeds also contain ricin, one of the deadliest poisons on Earth. Ricin works by shutting down the body's cells, and an amount smaller than a few grains of salt can kill an adult human. It's so potent it has been used in real assassinations, most famously to murder a man with a poisoned umbrella tip. Processing the seeds is what concentrates the danger, but even chewing a handful raw has proven fatal to people and livestock. And yet the plant itself is sold in garden centers and grown for its bold, tropical look in flower beds around the world. A common ornamental that quietly holds an assassin's poison, proof that some of the deadliest things on Earth are hiding in plain sight. From an exploding tree to a plant that hides murder, every one of these found its own brutal way to survive. They can't run and they can't fight, so they learn to burn, to poison, and to kill anything that comes too close. So the next time a plant looks harmless, remember, the deadliest ones almost always do. Subscribe and tell me which shocked you most.